and my grandfather. Um, they came from the old country, and I don't know how. I mean, whether they were married over there or they were married here. I assume they were married over in Ireland, and then came over together at Ellis Island. And you know, you really had to have courage to make that enormous change in culture and everything. Everything you knew, you forget about because you're coming over here and you're going to learn. You're going to learn from adversity. So, as luck would have it, well, I did mention the fact that they had um, Margaret and Michael had William, Mary, uh, Anna, and Margaret. And then he was killed during a very, you know, construction accident. What the particulars are, I don't know. But in those days, they didn't have anything like workers' compensation for the widow. Forget it. No, you're on your own. And besides, you're only Irish, you know. So, um, William had high blood pressure, and he had a stroke and died at a relatively early age. And the only pictures we have was his confirmation picture. And then, so Mary, so there I got three people that have to be fed, and my grandmother was a practical nurse. And so she was making some money that way, but what do they make? And Mary got a job at the New York Life. The chronology might not be accurate, but she did finally. My mother got a job at the telephone company as an operator when she was 14, but she's quite capable, so she could answer the operator, just like an old girl. And I don't know about Margaret, whether she ever, well, I don't know, really. I have no sense of even mentioning. I don't know. But I do know that the things that were said, that both my father and Frank Kerrigan were courting the O'Connor girls along about the same time, and Frank Kerrigan Diddler would would make fun of my father's waistcoats, well, vests and those, not waistcoats, and he would wear apparently different colored ones. It's not like my father to be that adventurous, but anyway, I guess that it was not a bone of contention, but a bone of fool, you know, fool around it together. And they got married, and I guess around the same time. Diddler, he's a wonderful guy. Everybody loved him, you know. Your mother, your mother did. Tutu loved him because it was nothing not to love about him, because he loved everybody. Well, anyway. Then on our side of the family, they got married. My father was a union electrician. He was working, as I get the story, he was working in Jacksonville as a journeyman electrician. But he's kind of like, he's a family man. So he said, the devil with this. He was going to give up the union man, and where he had to go wherever they sent him, and he was going to start his own business. So he did. Anyway, then they had Margie was the firstborn, and if I could, let's see, I just. 1913 sticks in my mind. Why, I don't know. but when she was born, and then followed by Georgie within a couple of years, and that would make it 1916 or so. And then Billy, 19, I would think around 17 of, and then Frank was 1919, and I was 1922. And Rosemary came along and 5 years after me, so that'd be 1927. Just to discuss each one of them, Marge, she had a secretarial job. She went to to a secretarial school to learn, shorthand and all that, and typing. And she had a bunch of suitors, but the guy that was the most persistent was the guy that lived right next door to us in Rockaway Point, the Travises. He was, as I said, persistent. He liked it from afar, and after the others wore out their welcome one way or another, he was available. He was, as I said, persistent. So they were married at Blessed Sacrament Church, and all of the five boys. We have a picture or so in here. I think we still have it. That of us all in mourning clothes, gray and this and that. I sure looks young. I don't guess I was more than 16, I guess that's all. Anyway, and they had Loretta, Donald, George, and Marie. Loretta developed meningitis. She was gone in a matter of days. It was traumatic, to say the least. The rest of us, the rest of them carried on, and Marie lives here in San Diego now. Donald is retired, and he was a chemical engineer, and he worked for Pfizer, so did a nice job. He lives, I got to mail that letter to him, card to him. They live in Palm Coast, down by St. Augustine. And George is, I think he's in insurance somewhere. And there's one more. I'm not sure where the heck he is. And Georgie, then moving on. Oh, she died of, well, she smoked, and she developed some lung problem, and I don't know that it was lung cancer, but it was a matter of lungs that carried her off, and so she passed away when she was about 70-ish, 71 or so. And George Travis lived on and on till 90-something or other. Reluctantly, but now Georgie, my brother, he became he married Julia, and not like 1940, I guess it was, and they had, I think, Joe. Then after that, they had more Kathleen, good-looking, Irish-looking girl, but pretty as can be. She married an FBI guy, and but they broke up, and after that, I don't know where she is. And they have a couple of more children. Georgie did. Did I tell you he was the chief electrical inspector of the city of New York? So, no, here again, he developed a lymphoma, and there's a another guy that succumbed to cancer there and died when he was, I think, 72. I've forgotten this. Rosemary, well, I can't tell you. Billy had, he did his residency at Kings County Hospital, and he was there when your aunt Jeannie developed meningitis, and all he could think of was that he was going to lose heart too, and so he was broken up about it, of course. But as it turned out, she got really very, very good care there, and she, as you know, came out of it, and she's just as sweet as she can be even now. So Billy had Peter, Anne Marie, and what the heck is her name? One other girl who's still living. Peter lives on the west side of around 90th Street, where Danny is. Although I don't think they don't see the same people. And he married what's her name? I'm not sure what the name is, but anyway, a girl from that part of New York. Anyway, Anne Marie died, so there was only just two of them left, Peter in New York and the other girl, his name escapes me, shame on me. You'll have to fill that in later. She takes care of her mother. Mother's Jane is, and she's had she had a hip replacement, and it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. So one of the leg is she has drop leg or whatever that's called, and she walks very slowly, if at all. But twice a week she goes to the pool and does her, aquatic exercises and all. So she's staying active. Frank, Frank was, I mentioned before, we know where he went. And then he married Rosemary. I was the best man. And they had Frank the first, then they had Rosemary, then they had Patty, then they had Michael, then they had Meg, and that was, and they were Coast Guard family, all, right from the get-go. And Frank went with Social Security, Michael went with Social Security, Rosemary became a doctor of ophthalmology, and she's in New Jersey. Patty lost her husband, you know that story. Well, if you don't, anyway, he had a bad heart, and he died in bed, which is the ultimate trauma. Patty, as I said, she finally married again. She had one child, Trip, named, because he's Frank X Riley, or was Frank X Riley. Frank X anyway, and they call him Trip because he's the third. And then there's Meg. That was Michael, and they had a couple of kids, and Meg, I think she was a corrections officer of some sort, or a probation officer of some sort, yeah. But she's very sweet, and your mother and she are very, very close. And they have a couple of children too.